All right, everyone, welcome back to episode 13 of the Asian Football Show. Match day 2 just concluded, and I'm here with my good friend Efron, as always, bringing you the top Asian football content. So we're going to go through the games I've just been playing in match day 2. A lot of interesting things have happened. Actually, no, a lot has happened in this match day. So we're going to go through these games. And like I said, if you guys are new to the podcast, make sure to follow us on Spotify. If you're not already, subscribe to us on YouTube. And yeah, they're fun. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, hello Arya. Yeah, happy to be back here again. And wow, what a match day! Wow, all with all the expected things that happened in match day one, we can say we really did not expect what happened in match day two. Some very unpredictable scores, and this is where the fun in Asian Cup is.
Yeah, I feel like the first week wasn't very appealing to a lot of, I guess, neutrals. But I think the second match day just completely just smashed everything here. It was a very interesting week. So let's move on with the first game here. Ironically, it is the most one of the most boring games in this whole match day. And it's Lebanon versus China. The game finished 0-0. Another 0-0. Another game where China hasn't scored a goal, which is it's worrying. It's very, very worrying. And when you've got players like Wu Lei and such that are goal machines, them not being able to score a goal is very, very concerning. I mean, I don't think there's much to say about this game other than that it was a snooze fest. There hasn't really been anything of important, really. China dominated most of the game, I would say, in terms of possession. In terms of shots, it was very, very it was very even. But it's kind of weird how there hasn't been a goal scored yet for either sides so far.
Yeah, and not only either sides, but the only team to score from Group A is Qatar. And that's just crazy to me. And I think, with all respect to the other three teams, I think this is the weakest group at the Asian Cup. Even though at the start I would have said this might be one of the more groups that are harder to predict. And it is hard to predict, but that's not in a good way. The teams aren't scoring goals. 0-0. This is the second 0-0 of the group so far, and yeah, it's not looking good. But I have to. Moving on from Group A, I have to talk about Tajikistan here. They played a very good game against Qatar, even though they lost because of a really good Akram Afif goal, which should definitely have been disallowed. I mean, referee clearly obstructed the play, and it was just weird to see that. What do you think, Arya?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if this was Premier League or Bundesliga, I think that goal would have probably been disallowed. I would say that despite that, I think Qatar were the better team in some way. Tajikistan did end up getting a red card. So, it's just one of those games where, like, officiating gets in the way, and it is what it is, right? Stuff that happens. It's past now, so there's anything to do about it. But yeah, Akram Afif, I feel like we should be talking about him too. The guy has been absolutely on fire. Al Ali also with the assist. Both of them have just been carrying Qatar.
What a
Uh,
duo! What a duo! I mean,
yeah, it's
since the
just a
2019
devastating
Asian
goal.
Cup, yeah, man,
It's been
amazing.
amazing. So that's that for the Qatar Tajikistan game. And I'm excited to see what results are gonna occur for the next match day. Moving on to group is it B
Yeah,
with
B.
Australia, Uzbekistan, Syria, and Indonesia.
India.
Um, Indonesia, sorry, India. I don't know why I said
Yes.
Indonesia. Apologies. So this is a game, Australia and Syria. We're going to be covering this one first. Where I mean, the favorites are obviously Australia, but we've talked about this a lot in the past, and we've said Australia since the World Cup haven't really looked all that convincing, and I guess that kind of continues in this game right here against Syria. I mean, they clearly on paper have a superior team to Syria, and Syria aren't even starting their best players. They haven't called up Sama, as we mentioned in the past. Omar Khabin is not even starting. So to them to only scrape off a 1-0 win, courtesy of a Jackson Irvine goal, who he also has been on fire in this Asian Cup, is kind of worrying, I'd say, because against the bigger teams, this type of performance surely can't really go on.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And Australia is just not even just this game, even the previous game against India, they didn't look at their best. But one of their positives to look at maybe is Jackson Irvine, the midfielder. makes goals out of nothing. In the first match day, he had good positioning and capitalized off a good mistake from the Indian goalie. And this game, a very good, very decent goal with decent strike, you know. But Syria, they weren't horrible. They weren't bad necessarily, but they didn't really create much chances. They had the ball at times. They went in front, but they didn't really look too dangerous, you could say. But the same could be said for Australia, to be honest. Not many big chances, except that the goal that they scored. Uh, but the other game was Uzbekistan versus India. Now, what a performance by Uzbekistan this was. Just amazing from the start to finish. Even during the second half, that they didn't score a goal, they still played well, even though India had one or two chances where they could have scored, but they did not. The goals just kept on coming. They won 3-0. Faizullah proving why he should be starting. And then the experienced striker Igor Sergeyev got the second one in the 18th minute, and Sherzod Nasrullah got the third in the injury time of the first half. What do you think of that game, Arya?
All I can say in this game is Abosbek Fazulayev is a name you guys must remember. This guy he's just a baller, man, and he's already doing wonders at CSKA Moscow. So I don't even know what he's doing in Russia anymore. I think it's time for him to move to a way better league. He's just been crushing it. Only 20 years of age. Now against the game against Syria, despite him only playing 45 minutes, he wasn't really impressive. But that game in general wasn't really impressive. But a complete turnaround in this game against India. So I'm excited to see what he's going to produce. And I'm presuming now he's going to be starting for the next game against Australia. And that is going to be a huge, huge game. So we'll see about that. Moving on to Group C, which I want to say is the best group, but not anymore. After the disaster that I've seen, I hate it so much. Let's put the disaster last. Let's talk about the 1-1 Palestine and the UAE game. That was such an inspiring performance for Palestine. And they were this close of winning their first ever game in an Asian Cup. Unfortunately, Thomas Sayam, the goal scorer against Iran, missed the penalty in the 39th minute and came around to regret it at the end. They did get a goal. Well, it was an own goal by Nasser Badr. Yeah, at the 50th minute. Obviously, Sultan Adil Al Amiri put the UAE in front very early on in the game, but they got a red card, and ever since that red card, man, the whole game changed. UAE were struggling after that red card, so it can be said that I guess if it wasn't for that red card, I think we're all expecting UAE to do much better. But Palestine showed what they're really made of, and the keeper as well, Khalid Issa. This guy saved the UAE multiple times, and it's unfortunate for Palestine. I really feel bad because they were this close of doing it, and unfortunately, a 1-1 draw is still very, very great. They're still very much alive, and we're just gonna have to wait and see for the last match day where they're gonna be facing Hong Kong, and that's a very, very important game to see who's gonna go third in this group. So. Yeah, what do you want to?
Yeah, that game was amazing. From start to finish. At the start, it was UAE attacking mostly. Sultan Adel, like you mentioned, the young striker, he plays in Etihad Kalba, Qaidi's teammate. They're both playing under Farhad Majid in Etihad Kalba. And the fun fact is Etihad Kalba is the club whose players have scored the most goals in the tournament so far. So a very unexpected but true fact. And then UAE got a debatable red card when Khalifa Al Hamadi gave away the penalty. I don't know why Dabagh didn't take the penalty. Tamer Sayem, the scorer against Iran, he took the penalty, and it was just an amazing save by Khalid Issa. And but after that red card,
one thing I want to add is that game, that Palestine game, Odey Dabagh finally started the game, and I'm surprised as to why he didn't take the penalty rather than Tamer Sam. I'm very much confused on that part. And Obey Dabagh actually had a pretty decent game, to be fair, but the finishing was not there for him, unfortunately, on that day.
Yeah, like I said, after the red card, it was just all Palestine from the red card till the end of the game. They were unfortunate to not win this game. Their goal was an own goal, actually. Badr Nasser, the Shah Al Ahli. He's a fullback. I'm confused why Paulo Bento plays him as a center back. And not only is he not a center back, he's a young fullback who's how much has he played? He's played like half a game of senior football all season, and he's been called up and played out of position, and that's one of the most confusing things to me. And I think it kind of backfired on him as he scored an own goal. But yeah, Palestine should have definitely got another one. Uh, some amazing and a few amazing saves by Khalid Issa denied that. But yeah, Palestine, I think they're looking good for the game against Hong Kong, and if they win that, they're looking in pole position to advance to the next round. Yeah. So next is Iran, Hong Kong, right,
Can we,
Tiger?
can we just skip that game?
But I wish we could, but we have to talk about this.
Yeah, this was, and a lot of you are gonna find this controversial. For me, it's the worst game Iran has played in years. I think this is even worse than the England game.
Definitely.
The England game that happened last year at the World Cup, or should I say technically 2 years ago, but the game that happened against England, at least, first of all, it was England. Second of all, there was the whole political pressure and stuff. Anyways, we're not going to get into that. So it was like kind of expected that we would not perform well, but I mean, this was something else. I mean, I know we still ended up with a win, so it wasn't a complete disaster class. But at this point, it was like I was watching my local U14 team playing. It was genuinely that bad, guys. I'm being serious. Mehdi Ghaidi scored a goal, which I have to apologize. I'm putting my hands up. I have to apologize. I slandered him a lot. I thought he didn't deserve a spot in the Team Milli team. But it seems that he's one of the only few players in the team that genuinely cares and wants to actually perform well. So good on him. Beautiful finish. As of that, Taremi's been very, very disappointing this tournament. I was expecting him to be top scorer. I don't even think he's going to be close to that. Shahir Moghanu is Shahir Moghanu, just terrible. Ruzbeh Chishmi, I'm sorry, Irfan, it's horrible. And if you look at the ratings in the football, app or just any football app, like the players I'm about to mention had good ratings, but like genuinely when you watch them play, I don't think they deserved it. I don't know how the defense all have green ratings. I think they were horrendous. Milan Mohammadi apparently was the man of the match, and he actually got included in the team of the week of the Asian Cup. He did get the assist. I think he was horrendous.
I agree.
Majid Hosseini was okay. Kanoni, not good. And Rezayan, I don't think should have started because you can clearly see he's not fit enough. Alireza Baron Van, this guy, like, I don't know if he's taking this seriously. It doesn't look like he's taking this tournament seriously at all. And he fools around way too much.
His decision making at times is weird.
Yeah, I agree. Godos wasn't that great. Jahanbash is Jahanbash. Like, quite literally, the only player that I would say had a decent game was Mehdi Ghaidi, if I'm being completely honest. I think, yeah, the subs later on that Amir Ghalinoi put on, Izzatullah, as soon as he came in, the game was better. Omid Ibrahimi and Ansar. I feel like these guys, why are you putting these guys onto the pitch? It was, I don't know what Amir Ghalinoi was doing, but clearly Amir Ghalinoi was very pissed with the team. Every time the camera was zoomed on into his face, he was not having it. So I tend to believe this time that I wouldn't necessarily put the blame on Ghalinoi. I just think the players were just horrendous by themselves. A 1-0 win, if you're considering yourself as an Asian powerhouse or just a powerhouse in general, only winning 1-0, and I'm sorry to Hong Kong to say it like that, but it's a horrendous result for Iran. But at least we still got the win. So we're not, it's not an absolute disaster. But if we want to go ahead and win this, it's not a performance that needs to be replicated. So hopefully this is a wake up call. And as for Hong Kong, I think they played very well. Unfortunately, they just couldn't finish their chances. If this was a Japan or Korea, I think they would have scored a few for sure.
Yeah, I really don't want to talk much about this game because it made me want to throw up by the end. But just some things I want to mention. Hong Kong, like you said, really good game by them. They surprised me, to be honest. A lot of pressure from beginning, pressure on the players from the beginning till the end of the game. Even before we scored, they were doing well. They had their chances, but some weird finishing by their players, and they couldn't get a goal. So big up to them. They are improving, and this is a big improvement to their last 4-0 defeat against Iran. But Iran itself, oh God, Um, I wanna mention something about Cheshmi. You said he wasn't really good. I agree he wasn't the best, but the whole team was just not good except Raidi.
Yeah.
I don't think you can blame a player specifically. And Cheshmi won like the most duels in the game. Also, I believe it was like 14 or 15 duels, which is actually really good. But yeah, enough praising Cheshmi. Just get this game over with. I get a headache every time I think about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So Iran are through. UAE are also most likely through, and Palestine can go through if they win against Hong Kong in the last match day.
And let's move on to Group D, a very interesting group: Iraq, Japan, Vietnam, and
Wow.
Indonesia. Now, before we talk about the Japan game, because I feel like that's why a lot of people are going to tune into this episode, let's talk about the Indonesia game first. They actually got a win. They won against Vietnam. Vietnam were not great. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
kind of struggling to see like where did their previous good form, like where did it go? I mean, they haven't been themselves this Asian Cup. And I know the game against Japan, they were leading at some point, but they didn't even play a fraction of that against Indonesia. Indonesia was just much better. One guy that I want to give a huge shout out to would be Marcelino Ferdinand. Again, I think I shouted him out in the first match. I
Yep.
think he was really good. Justin Hubner, the Wolves Academy player, was fantastic. Again, a very young Indonesian team. They got the better of Vietnam, and it was a very, very nice game. So I'm very happy for Indonesia, which this sounds crazy. They're level on points with Japan. That's crazy to
Wow.
say.
After two match days, I never thought I'd hear that. But yeah, like you said, maybe Vietnam missing Bac Din, it affected them. But still, Indonesia's win, it wasn't a fluke. They
Yeah.
dominated the first half, especially, even though Vietnam did put on some pressure later on. But Indonesia definitely deserved this win, and I'm happy for them. They're in a good position to go to the next round. Even though they play Japan, I think they still should be through with 3 points. So yeah, now moving on to the other game of the group, Faria. Wow, one of the best games of the tournament so far, won't you say?
Yeah. Other than Hong Kong, Iran? No, I'm kidding.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
yeah. I agree. I mean, it's what a performance by Iraq. Ayman Hussein was just amazing, scoring both goals. That made Japan lose their first ever Asian, well, not first ever, rather their first Asian Cup. This was their first Asian Cup loss since like 1988 or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Like
group
it's been
stage
like
loss
35
since
years old.
1988. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a crazy stat. Now I watched this game, and it's crazy to say this, but quite literally the whole Japanese team was completely off. Maybe other than Endo, the defense was not great. The keeper is An Suzuki. Same thing at the Vietnam game. He hasn't been good. Morita, he tried, wasn't good enough. Minamino, Kubo, and Ito, these guys were nowhere to be seen. And Takuma Asano, no, a lot of Japanese fans were very, very mad at him. Yeah, he wasn't good. So this is what I want to say. Does this show that this Japanese team is not invincible, or is it a situation of, oh yeah, all big teams must lose at some point and they're just going to go back to winning every single game again? And is it also a huge error from Hajime Moriyasu to not call up players like Kyogo Furuhashi, who, let's be honest, they've been struggling at the attacking end of sides in this game. So what conclusions do we draw from this? Is it a fluke game? Is it things that happen, once in a million, or is it genuinely Japan who have been worrying at this Asian Cup? Because they weren't particularly amazing against Vietnam either. So it's a little bit of a worry, though. What would you think about that?
First of all, I don't think this is a fluke at all. Iraq just Iraq analyzed the team very well.
Hmm.
They found their weakness, utilized the weakness. We saw their main tactic was scoring off headers, and it worked. It worked really well. Ayman Hussein, the experienced striker, a lot of Iraqi fans were actually um, against him starting. They wanted that guy who plays in the League Two in England. I think Hamadi was his name. They wanted him to start instead, but he proved why he should have started. And I just gotta give props, to Jesus Casas. Amazing plan, amazing tactic. And I think if we played the game continued for another half, Japan still would not have equalized. Even though, yeah, they did put on some pressure at the end. But wow, Iraq just did not give them any openings until that 93rd minute goal, which was a mistake by the keeper, I would say. It could have definitely been avoided. And yeah, I think it shows that you cannot guarantee a team to win a game in this tournament. It's not only this game, it was also the Iran game, which they almost did not win, the Korea game, which we'll get on to later, and this game. It shows that no teams are guaranteed to win, and I think this will maybe increase the hope of some of the other teams of maybe, oh wow, we have a chance now, and hopefully it makes the tournament more exciting.
Because when we're coming to this, like I know this was a big talking debate on Iranian football Twitter. People were, a lot of people were saying, yeah, Japan lost against Iraq. Jordan tied with Korea 2-2. They didn't win their games, but Iran did. And although that is not necessarily a bad point, but you don't realize Hong Kong is, with all due respect, not as good as Iraq and Jordan. So in some way, I get that point, and I want to see what you think about that point, because I've seen that a lot on Twitter just in general, not just on Iranian football Twitter, but seeing that the Giants are struggling, if we're kind of being honest, which they are. I think it's fair to say.
I don't think that applies to Iran yet. We have to wait till the UAE game because Jordan and Iraq, they're the C2 teams. So I wouldn't say it applies to Iran yet. After Iran plays against the UAE on Tuesday, if Iran wins, then good on them. It shows that they have bettered the other favorites in the group stages at least. But yeah, we'll see. UAE are a decent side. So yeah, now I think that's it for Group D. Iraq have guaranteed top position because of head-to-head. They won against both Japan and Indonesia, who are on 3 points. Japan are second, tied on points with Indonesia, as you said, Arya. And Vietnam are last, and they're eliminated out of this tournament.
Isn't it crazy to say Japan is second in their group? That's crazy. It sounds crazy.
And
That's
they can't
insane.
even be first. So
they can't be first, yeah.
We're going to meet them in the
Which,
quarterfinals,
I
aren't
mean,
we?
to be fair, like it's I don't know. I don't want to say it's going to be 100% guaranteed, but it's most likely going to be a Korea Japan round of 16 tie, right? Which personally, I don't want to see that type of matchup that early, because then one of the Giants is going to be knocked out early, right? So, is that necessarily a good thing for the cup itself? What do you think? Because this is like a final worthy game, right?
Yeah, most of us thought this would be the final, to be honest, Japan Korea, and it's good. I think it shows that there are strong teams, and you can't write anyone off. Yeah, I'm excited for that Japan Korea game. That is if Korea even top their group. I mean, yeah, we're gonna get on to it right now. That's it for Group D. But yeah, moving on to Group E. Jordan played against Korea, and wow, what a performance by Jordan! It was a repeat of the Iraq game, but arguably even better, even though they drew only. But Jordan played so well. Even though they were losing, they were ahead by the end of the first half. An unfortunate own goal at the end tied the game up. Yeah, I know. I want to give a shout out to Yazan Al Nemat. He plays in the Qatari league for Al Ahly. Wow, just I think two assists in the previous game, and he scored in this game as well. What do you think, Arya? What do you think on this game?
Another person I want to shout out is Musa Al-Tamari. I think Al-Nemat Al-Tamari and Mahmoud Al-Mahdi, these three guys have been amazing for Jordan. But I want to more so comment on the Korean performance. First of all, I don't really understand why Heung-min Son was elected man of the match. I mean, other than that penalty goal, he wasn't really there. I mean, compared to his other partner, Jae Cho, I think Jae Cho, he was completely out of his element. Kang Lee was also way out of his element. I don't know. It's a completely different Korean team. All the big guys were not performing as well. Kim and Jae wasn't that great, and as a Bayern fan, it's difficult for me to say that because he's been amazing. Son was the better out of the top stars. It's a disappointing result if I was from Korea, and I would say that because again, similar to Japan, you're expected to win these games, right? And there was a lot of rumors that kind of divided Korean football Twitter, saying that they actually intendedly tried to not win the game to try and avoid
I
Japan and
doubt
stuff
it,
like that.
to be honest.
I doubt it too. I mean, if that's the mentality they have, it's a very poor mentality to have. Very, very poor mentality to have. And when Jurgen Klinsmann, they panned the camera on him when that 90th minute own goal happened, the game that tied it, and he was happy, but it didn't really seem that he was really happy. I don't know. It was very weird. It was very weird. It's like there's something going on.
Like he wouldn't
In
have
my
mind if they
opinion.
lost that game.
Yeah, it's as if like if they lost, like, oh, okay, like it's fine, we lost it. Nevertheless, is there any chance of Korea going to third?
To third, I mean,
Yeah,
who do Korea play? Korea play against
they're playing Malaysia.
Malaysia. I wouldn't say, mathematically, there is not a chance actually. No,
Yeah,
there
there
is a
isn't.
chance. There is a chance. If Bahrain win against Jordan, then Bahrain would finish on 6 points. And if South Korea tie, or I mean, if South Korea lose against Malaysia, so yeah, but they have to
Yeah,
lose to Malaysia, which I don't
okay,
think
but
that's gonna happen.
that's not gonna happen. That's
Yeah,
not gonna
but yeah,
happen.
props to Jordan. If they get a good win against Bahrain, they can easily finish top of the group.
Yeah, I would really love to get like a Korean football analyst in the near future to talk about this, and I think we'd kind of do that with all the big teams, because we can give our perspective on the Iranian national team because we know that the best, but when it comes to teams like the Korean Republic national team or the Japanese national side, as much as we watch them a lot, we don't know the full picture,
We don't know the
right?
background and
Anyways,
everything.
moving on to the next game, Bahrain and Malaysia. Now Malaysia wasn't good in their opening game against Jordan, right? They lost 4-0, but they were much better against Bahrain, and they nearly got 1 point out of that. But an Ali Madan 95th minute winner gave Bahrain the 3 points, and that's one of the reasons why we love the Asian Cup in football in general. It's those type of goals, man.
What a
I felt
finish!
so yeah, I felt so bad for Malaysia. They were this close of doing it, this close. Just
They were
didn't want to happen.
defending with their lives, man, until the end of the game. And even that goal, I'm shocked how that went in. To be honest, it was just outside the box to finish, outside of the left-footed shot. Ali Madan, the player, the Ajman player, and it went past all the defenders somehow. It was a perfect strike. And you have to feel for Malaysia, but to be honest, Bahrain deserved that win.
Yeah. Anything
Yeah,
else to add for that game?
I don't think so. I think that's it for Group E. And moving on to the final group, Group F. So the first game was Thailand against Oman. It was right, yeah, Thailand Oman. Game ended 0-0, and Thailand are surprising me, to be honest. They're on 4 points already, basically guaranteed to go to the next round. And I expected better from Oman after their game against Saudi. So I don't know. They even though they dominated in position, not proper chances from both sides. I say it was one of the more boring games of the tournament with respect to both sides. And maybe it's tactical. Oman now have to play against who they play in the last game. Oman play against Kyrgyzstan. If they win that, they're also probably through as well. But yeah, not much to say about that game.
I mean, Oman are playing with fire here because if they don't get anything out of Kyrgyzstan, that could backfire massively, right?
Yeah.
But that Oman team that's nearly, got a draw against Saudi. They were very good in that game, and in this game it didn't really. I don't know. It was again very similar to Thailand. Did get the 0-0. And that I think blasts them into second position, and they're playing Saudi Arabia next.
They're through anyways, most likely. So
yeah, probably. Moving on to the last game of Matchday 2, Kyrgyzstan versus Saudi Arabia. I'm gonna let you talk about this because I've seen you you were getting properly mad at the Saudi national team for this. Now Mohamed Kano, by the way, I have him in my fantasy team. I've always said to everyone, this guy's a freaking amazing player. No one knows who he is. I hope now you know who he is. But Mohamed Kano, I love him. He's an amazing player.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a familiar face for me, who watches the AFC Champions League a lot. He's always been there for Al Hilal. and he's been an amazing player, great quality, and he showed it against Kyrgyzstan. A great goal in the first half to give Saudi the lead. But wow, did this game piss me off. I mean, you're playing against a team with 9 men for almost a whole half, and you only score one goal. And even that one goal came off a very bad mistake from Tokotaev, the Kyrgyz goalkeeper, who's having a fantastic game. You know, until that moment, he didn't let Saudi score at all. He would some great saves. Even after that mistake, he had, I think, one amazing save. But I don't know, man. They did not impress me at all, the Saudi team. Oh yeah, I want to mention Ali Al Ghamdi's goal. He was the one who scored Saudi's second goal. He's a very young player who plays in Al Ittihad. So look out for him. He's a good player. But yeah, man, Kyrgyzstan just came out there to kill the Saudi players. I think they didn't have any other goal. They lost hope after the game versus Thailand. I don't know what happened to them. But even worse than Kyrgyzstan, Saudi. If I'm a Saudi fan right now, I'd not be happy at all. When you're playing against 9 men with the quality that you have, Salam Adasari doesn't seem like he cares for some reason. I don't know what's going on with him. Al he was not bad, but he couldn't score really. Saad Abdul Hamid, he's a great player, the right back. He impressed in the World Cup, and he was one of the players who seemed to be trying this game. But yeah, I hope Saudi do better in their next games, because this was not it at all.
Yeah, very similar to the Iran game. I mean, it's an Asian giant with all the quality in the world, and they got the win. Yeah, sure, but if you look beyond that scoreline, it wasn't a good game. It wasn't a good game. But listen, again, at least they got the win. At the end of the day, sometimes that's the only thing that really matters. And that's pretty
So
much the end of
yeah,
match
so the
day two.
teams that are through right now, I'll just repeat them so everyone knows. Qatar are through, six points out of 6. Australia, same thing, 6 points. Iran are through. Iraq are through, and Saudi Arabia are through. So yeah, sets us up for an amazing match day 3.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it for match day 2. My closing words is I hope Iran does well in the final game against Yemen, which I'm not confident enough.
No repeat of Hong Kong, please. No repeat of Hong
Kong. Yeah. Just go ahead, just smash them 4-0, 3-0 or something. Like, just have a convincing win. That's all I want. Like, we need to make a statement. That's what these guys need to do. And for the other teams, Japan, I hope they bounce back. They also need to try and show something. Korea as well, because they feel like I said, the Asian giants, just literally all of them haven't been like amazing. Like, we all thought, they would dominate their group, but it turns out that hasn't happened. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Spotify. Thank you guys so much for all the support. So F1 is actually going to go to the Asian Cup in, I thought it was taking 10 days from now. So that's cool. That's awesome. And I guess we're going to see some exclusive content. So make sure to follow us there. And yeah, that's it for me.
Goodbye, guys.
Goodbye.